That year, I mean, when you joined the club, as we mentioned, it was a bit of a rocky phase and things were not exactly going great, and there was an element of doom and gloom around the fan base per se, slightly disappointed with how things were going. And in fact, around February, if you had asked any Chelsea fan, how do you think this season would end? I don't think any of them could have pictured the way it eventually did end, because that was an astonishing end to the season.
Yeah,
A season filled with a lot of ups and downs, with more lows than highs perhaps, but it ended with the ultimate prize, the dream trophy for most Chelsea fans, the Champions League trophy. I'm interested in this, and I mean, we have all the time in the world to talk about this. I'm curious about exactly what went down that night, because I remember exactly where I was during the game. I remember the pessimism I had watching during the course of the game, assuming that there's no way you come back from this level of dominance that Bayern Munich are showing. But then, of course, the magic happened and Chelsea ended up winning it. Tell us about the story before the game to the point where you guys lifted the trophy.
Well, I think if I take you back when, obviously, Di Matteo, Robbie came in, and it was almost like probably a thought process of, like what you said, the season's not gone great, we're not in a great league position, almost like nothing to lose. And the kind of road to the final just snowball. We had obviously the famous Barcelona double leg, which was just incredible. To the point then you obviously get to the final, and even that, you know, we were playing Bayern in the Allianz in their home stadium, which just seemed bizarre as well. The night before the game, I think the story's come out a few times, but Robbie, the manager at the time, Di Matteo, did a really special thing, I thought. And I think instead of, we'd already prepared tactically, we already knew our roles really for the game. But sometimes, you know, a manager will go through that again and again, especially during or before a big game. But instead of that in the evening, he just put in, he called a big meeting. We went in the room and he put a video, he put the TV screen up in front and just played a video, and it was just messages from family members, like for each player. And it was so powerful, do you know, like when you actually sat there and you just like, wow. And it was just like my parents come on, or and he was just saying good luck, and he just brought you back to kind of your journey from working, and like we said at the start of the show, at the start of the programme, of all these moments of taking you to training and playing in the field with your mates, and to get into this level, and you're like, wow. And I think that was just a massive memory that stands out in my mind, and such a powerful thing. And you went to bed that night kind of like, I want to play, couldn't wait to get up the next morning. Go ahead, like I said, played the game. Bayern was very strong at the time in the game, you know, we had to weather a lot.
The famous robbery partnership.
It was a difficult game. We had me and David just come back from hamstring injuries, so it was a tough game. And then obviously going to go down, we was just waiting for a big moment, and the big moment come from the big man, the big player, and obviously Didier produced for us. But this was the thing with that Chelsea team. There were so many individuals that produced big moments at times when you needed it. Peter Cech with the penalty. There's so many players in that dressing room that just stand up when you need to be, when you hope and you're thinking who's going to turn the game for us. Didier pops up. He's got so many big goals in big occasions. And yeah, the rest is history, as they say.
I'm very curious about one thing. There is this... Chelsea spent the entire season in the build-up to that final, going through a lot of ups and downs. Obviously, the Champions League run must have re-energized players, because you kept going through from one stage to the other. But by the time you guys got to the final, what was the emotional situation within the dressing room? Was there a sense of emotional exhaustion after the long, hard season that the players had gone through, or was there just this renewed sense of optimism? Because there were a couple of characters in there who were in Moscow in 2008 during that heartbreak. And now there is this other opportunity to lift the trophy again. What was the emotional state of that dressing room heading into the final?
No, I think it was the latter, what you've just said. I think it was more recharged, fully focused, determined, group of players. We was missing some big players as well, but as a collective group, everyone was there. And no, it wasn't anything like fatigue. It was more, like I said, the snowballing effect, and it was just the last piece of the jigsaw, really. So the last push, and that's what it felt like.
There's a really pretty decent story that has come out of Didier Drogba. We'll talk about Drogba in just a bit, but there's a story that he tells in an interview a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken, where he said it was during that game where, as big of a character that Drogba himself is, but he's also human, and it's pretty natural for any human in that state, in that condition, in that game state, to feel a little bit disheartened, to feel a little bit frustrated, to start to lose a little bit of hope. But in that interview, Didier recalls that it was Juan Mata who kept looking at him and asking him to just pick yourself up, because there is still that opportunity. You spoke to us about the big characters, and sometimes the big characters don't necessarily just come in the form of this larger-than-life players.
Yeah, no, correct.
It can also come in the form of someone as small but as impactful as Juan Mata.
No, correct. Yeah, correct. And like we said before, it's a collective. So it's in the moments where probably you do see a teammate, or you feel that he might be having them doubts, or he might not be putting in the effort, or whatever that may be. Not saying that with Didier, I'm just saying in different situations you might see things and then try and address it. And that comes with, you know, being a character yourself and also having experience as well, which, like I said, both of them things is this squad had. And yeah, there was obviously times in the game where you know you're under the cosh, you know, it's wave after wave, a little bit of attacks, and you just want to kind of stay in the games. But again, not that I did have this at the time, but players did, and they had experience of that, as opposed to going, oh wow, we're struggling here, like, we've been through this before, we've had these moments, you know, just stay in the game and do the process. And I feel like, yeah, it goes a long way, and that's this kind of experience and leadership, like you said, you can. It's not all about shouting, it's not all about waving your arms in the air, it's not all about, like you said, the larger-than-life characters. Sometimes it's just about having that experience and that nous in different moments, and to pass that on to other players.
I remember having conversations with Chelsea fans over the years, and when I referenced that particular night, and we talk about the waves of attack that came from Bayern Munich throughout the course of the night, Chelsea fans were very concerned, worried, pessimistic. But there was this sense that when that goal went in, when it was none other than Didier Drogba, you know, their beloved hero, the guy who has led the line for years, continues to be adored till today, when he scored that goal, regardless of the momentum, Chelsea fans felt that this final is now ours. What was it like on the pitch the moment that goal went in? Was there that switch that this is now ours to lose?
I can't describe it to you. Honestly, I can't. It's hard to put into words, because of the timing of it was key. It was so important, obviously, that goal. And yeah, you know, it just made you have... I don't want to say that I never had the belief, because I just felt in my head that I was just so concentrated in the game and trying to be positive in terms of just keep pushing, see what happens. But the relief of obviously that goal going in and knowing that more than likely we're going to extra time and we're still in this game in a big way was massive. Like I said, big moment, big player, big moment. He was involved in the game heavily, wasn't he? Yeah. He gave the penalty away, he scored it, so he was definitely involved in that final. Yeah. So yeah, it's an amazing header as well.
Yeah, incredible really. To this day, you know, football is a 90-minute game, but sometimes when you zoom in closer, it's also a game of moments. And when I look at Champions League final moments throughout the history, that Didier Drogba goal, the celebration that followed afterwards, it's probably one of my favorite Champions League moments ever. Absolutely incredible, right up the list.
More than the Torres 1v1 Barcelona.
That was incredible. But the Drogba moment, there was something special about that. The way it all happened. Also because Drogba was part of the Chelsea revolution for a very long time.
Yeah, they've been waiting for this moment.
They've been waiting for that moment, and of all people, for him to do that, you know, you couldn't have written the script in a better way.